Asante came to TurboTax after graduating from culinary school and landing a job in the hottest kitchen in town.
My hands are full all day, every day. I love it.
Asante, as your TurboTax expert, I'll make your moves count, guaranteeing 100% accurate filing and your maximum refund. Sound good?
Yes, expert!
Switch to Intuit TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Okay, I always like to start with something interesting, and this totally hits that target. I don't know if you know this, but the FCC removed the requirement for local phone companies to provide analog POTS lines, landlines, at competitive rates. Okay, so what that means is that all that whole era is totally gone. And so if you have a landline, if you know somebody who has a landline, they should totally look at their prices, because without the FCC regulation, they're just going to be jacking those prices up. They say double, triple, maybe even 10 times, that's right, the cost that you're paying right now for a regular analog line, which I'm sure some people are saying like, what's a landline? What is that? Why do we even need that? You know, my 7-year-old nephew showed me with pride the telephone that he just made. It was a string and 2 cans. And I pulled out my iPhone. I said, you know what, Owen, that's really nice, but look what kids your age make in China. This is what they do. I know. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, just an example of all the fun that we have here with Tech Refresh. It's your weekly fun show about all things digital. And this is part of the Kim Komando Today podcast that you get, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. And just a quick reminder that if you're not already subscribing to our podcast, it doesn't cost any money. And when you subscribe to a podcast, you don't have to keep track of all your favorite shows and things and episodes that you loved. Because what happens is, just like you got a newspaper delivered to your driveway, yes, remember those days too, is now a podcast will be delivered to you automatically and just waiting for you. And joining us here on Tech Refresh, as always, we have our amazing content queen, Ali Seligman. What do you have coming up, Al?
Well, a fun, not so fun, new way that big tech is watching basically everything we do, and a safety tip if you are a person that is buying or selling things online.
Yes, a big safety tip. And of course, we have our magnificent millennial and internet scout, Matthew Heffel. How are you going to impress us today with your intellect?
Today we're going to talk about what's coming to the new iPhone 14, as well as how to use the voice memo function on your iPhone, and a viral song about corn.
Corn. All right. Now, before we get to all of that, let's start with the news. These are important tech developments to keep you in the know. And what happens is that all three of us scour the news sites and press releases, and we talk to all of our industry insiders to come up with just one thing that we think that you need to know about right now. And I'm going to talk about dating. What is the most popular dating app today? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's Tinder. They say almost 30% of all downloads in the dating app category. Number 2 is Bumble at 18%. Now, none of us are into online dating, of course, but if you are, you might find that interesting that Tinder is basically known for people who are looking for, well, you know, casual sex right now. Come over, let's get it done. But because of COVID and the Tinder dating culture, they say is over. Of course, there's always going to be people that are looking for casual sex, but Tinder's not going to disappear. But the dating app industry is always conducting its own research. And they asked more than 1,000 random American dating app users between the ages of 18 and 50. And the result is that physical attraction, sex appeal is no longer the most important factor. Oh my gosh, our babies are growing up. That's right. They say it's especially for those born after 1995. They say since the pandemic, their relationship goals have totally changed. And now they're looking for someone, would you believe, to be their best friend. Somebody, I know, sweet, isn't it? Somebody to have a life with. These old-fashioned, long-term, serious relationships. They say they no longer want any one-night stands. You know, what other kind of dating sites and dating apps are there? Like, so I found this one, Metal Dating, okay?
Metal dating?
Yes, Metal Dating. This is a dating site who they want their partners to be into goth, heavy metal, black metal music. Okay, so if you're into that, you're going to go to Metal Dating. There's also Can Do Better. Okay, this is crazy. Listen to this. You create a profile of you and your current partner. Then the site's visitors vote on whether between you or your partner deserves better.
Oh,
Okay.
No.
Okay. The one with the highest score will then be granted access to the website and to the dating app to look for someone better.
Oh, man.
Okay, you have
what
to wonder
could go
about-
wrong?
Yeah.
You have to wonder, like, who's going to do this? Okay, what about me? And no. And then finally, I found this one, Furry Mate. Okay, I've never understood the whole furry thing, but if you enjoy dressing up as an animal and being involved with someone else who likes to dress up as an animal, you can go to Furry Mate. Yes.
But for everybody.
Yes, there is. I guess, I started thinking of this. I guess, at Furry Mate, foreplay is really fur play. I mean, that's my thing. Okay, so Matt, tell us about the new iPhone 14.
They're just about to announce all the specs, but there has been tons of rumors already leaked and some confirmed. The iPhone 14 is coming out in just a couple of months. Okay. Yeah, they haven't announced the exact date, but they're announcing it next week, and they're going to be coming out with it very soon. But one of the interesting things that I read online is that a lot of these new features aren't coming to the normal iPhone 14. It's only going to be coming to the Pro and the Pro Max, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yes,
so
those are the most expensive ones.
Of course, yeah, the more expensive ones are going to have the more features. An always-on display, which Androids have had for years, is coming to the iPhone Pro and Pro Max. They're going to get rid of that little notch at the top of the iPhone where the speaker is and just have that flush with the screen. An upgrading processing chip, a better camera, and they're going to be introducing a blue and dark purple colors, which I think I saw some pictures of them, and they're really pretty. Plus, they're rumored to have a faster charger port, so it'll allow faster charging, up to 30 watts. So that'll be really nice. The standard version, like I said, will not get any of these upgrades. But the biggest rumor that I heard is actually one of the coolest things I've heard from Apple for their new iPhones in quite a while. And to get into it, I got to tell you a story. Back in 2006, there was a man named James Kim, and he was driving back from Thanksgiving with his family through the snowing mountains in Oregon. And while he was driving, they missed a turnoff to get back onto the freeway after getting some food. When they missed this turnoff, they ended up deep in the mountains in a brutal snowstorm, and they got snowed in and couldn't get out. And so they waited overnight, and they still couldn't get out. And the husband and wife then, with their two kids, looked at the map and tried to figure out how they can get out of there. And then he left the car and went to try to find somewhere where they can get some help. And before he did this, they looked at their cell phone at the time and it had no service, and they weren't able to get any help. Well, he ended up not being able to find any help. And a few days later, the search and rescue crews found the car with the mother and the two children still alive, clinging to life inside the car. But then they eventually found the husband, who had unfortunately died from hypothermia. The point of the story is that if they would have had a satellite-enabled cell phone, they could have gotten out of the situation. And that's the biggest thing that Apple announced with the new iPhone 14 is the ability to have this satellite call, which I think is incredibly important.
Is this on all the models?
This will be on all the models.
Okay.
It'll be not just on the Pro and the Pro Max. It'll also be on the actual normal iPhone 14. Yeah, I tried to find some details on this. They haven't released anything. They are expected to have a huge price jump in the new iPhones. So it is going to be more than iPhones have been in the past couple years. But that's how they're going to be justifying it, is with that satellite feature. And it's kind of brought back to me that I have an iPhone XR XR from 2019. It has no problems. It still works just fine. It's a big screen. And I just didn't think I really needed to upgrade. And I've been waiting for Apple to announce something that would make me, justify myself going in and spending all that money to get a new iPhone. And I think this might be the one that allows me to actually be able to do that. So I think that will be the case, because I like to go camping a lot, go out into nature. And so you never know when you're going to find yourself in that kind of situation.
All the other features are just kind of like, well, okay, the camera's maybe a little better, the notch, like who cares? But yeah, that actually seems like a pretty big upgrade.
Well, and Apple's not the only one, right? I mean, T-Mobile just did a deal with Elon Musk. Then they're going to now have Starlink as part of a regular package. So you have that cell connection. And then also this morning I read, this is really fascinating, Royal Cruises doing a deal with Starlink.
Really?
Yeah, so that this way, you want, but how much money are they going to lose? Because they always charge I think it's like $100 per device when you're on a cruise, and that's how they rack up a lot of money. But it's just, and it's just fascinating to me about how the whole satellite internet access, phone access is really going to have, we're now seeing like this fundamental shift. Oh, by the way, the
Right.
only reason why I know about how much the cruise is, because I'm never going to go on a cruise. I'm just not interested. I call them like floating poop ships. I'm just not going to do that. We had a caller to the show. I had a caller a couple of weeks ago. The guy was going on a cruise, and he was saying like he costs $100 per device. So he wanted to know like how he could get like 4 devices in his cabin on one connection, which you can do with, a mobile travel router, and then just bypass all those extra charges. But it is. So this is going to happen September 7th. And if you're listening to the podcast after September 7th and we were 100% correct, then this is why you need to listen to Tech Refresh. And if you're listening after September 7th and none of this panned out, well, we heard it from another source and we're going to blame them. And that's just the way it is. All right, Allie, tell us about, this is fascinating to me, AI and property taxes.
Yeah, so the tax man has a new tool, and it's AI. So we're going to go to France for this story. It's been a very hot couple of years, and more people than ever are putting in pools. The number of people that had pools put in is like totally skyrocketed. Pools increase property taxes because it increases your property value. So let's say it's even like a relatively small pool should be, it's about 200 euros or $200 a year. It makes sense then that you might not want the government to know that you put in a pool, right? Because you don't want to have to pay those taxes. Well, since last October, the French government has discovered about 20,000 pools that were unreported using artificial intelligence that was scanning satellite photos of backyards. So it's all about the money. What does this translate to? About 10 million euros, which is about $10 million in taxes per year.
Wow.
A ton of money, right? I thought this was so cool. This is not the first time that satellite technology has been used to spot people avoiding taxes. So back in 2010, 12 years ago, Greece, they were on the brink of bankruptcy and they were looking for people that were skirting taxes too, because they were trying really hard to get as much money as they could. There were, in Athens, 324 pools reported.
Oh, man.
Once they looked at satellite images, how many do you think there really were?
Thousands.
Thousands? 2,000?
17,000.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh, you're kidding.
So nobody was reporting them. But back then they didn't have AI, so they had to do it all manually.
Wow.
In this case, it just happens, the algorithms just look through these photos and find this stuff. Now we're talking about France and Greece, but you better believe that this kind of technology is here, even if, the government isn't putting out press releases saying how many pools they found. So think about that. If you are adding a pool, if you are doing an addition to your home, if you're doing a renovation, you might think you're being sneaky, but no, they can see everything you do. The algorithms in France, they were developed with a tax agency, of course, a consulting firm, and it's all open source software from,
Oh gosh, you're
can
kidding.
you guess?
Google.
Google,
Of
of
course.
course.
Yes.
Of course. Now, I went a little bit into the rabbit hole on this one because it's so fascinating. So in the US, the military and intelligence agencies are some of the biggest customers of Google for this kind of data. In fact, Google Earth came from a project, it was called Keyhole, that was funded in big part by the CIA. And Sergey Brin at Google thought, this is incredible. We need to buy this. And so there's a story that he barged into a big company meeting one day and he went around to each person and said, what's your address? Where do you live? And then he typed it into Keyhole and showed them this virtual flyover. Here's your house. Here's your
Wow.
backyard. Here's everything. And now we just think, well, yeah, that's Google Earth, right? Who cares? But back then, mind blowing. It was stuff that nobody ever seen.
You know that they're doing that here in the United States. I mean,
Oh,
it's-
absolutely.
Of course.
It's just maybe we don't know for a fact, but it does seem kind of strange that all of a sudden your property taxes are increasing, and now we have more satellite photos and permits, and I mean, it's just an amazing time where we live in. But do you know? Speaking of AI, do you know what AI's favorite music is? Do you know what it is? AI algorithms. Like, I know, I'm sorry. That wasn't that good. Okay, it was late. I was running slow. Okay. All right, just a quick reminder. This is not the Kim Commando show. No, that's our 3-hour weekend radio show that I do that's on, I don't know, over 425 radio stations. And if you'd like to get that as a podcast, and you want to watch us do the show, go behind the scenes, and it's commercial free and all that other great stuff, interactive chat room. We have a blast whenever we do this show, and it's every week. And you can check it out. You can watch the show, and as I said, get the podcast over at getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. It's a 30-day free trial. And after that, I don't know, I'm like $2 or $3 a month. Definitely cheaper than Can You Do Better as far as that dating website. Because you can't do any better. You will not be able to do any better. So head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. All right, coming up, we have how not to sell things online. We have our trivia of the week, our what the heck headline of the week, a really funny joke at the end that you can't afford to miss. So just sit your butt down and stay with us here at Tech Refresh.
Since our founding in 2000, we at the Center for Internet Security have always had one mission. It's to create confidence in the connected world for people, businesses, and governments. As a nonprofit, we do this by drawing upon our core competencies of collaboration and innovation. The world is changing, cyber threats are evolving, and IT resources are limited. All you want is a way to strengthen your cybersecurity programs efficiently and effectively. Let CIS help you with these efforts. We use a consensus-based process involving IT professionals from around the world to develop and maintain security best practices. These resources are proven to defend systems and data against threats, both on premises and in the cloud. We also strive to help organizations of every size and maturity strengthen their cybersecurity programs. This includes serving U.S. state, local, tribal, and territorial government organizations. At CIS, we're all about making the connected world a safer place. Visit our website to learn more.
Hey, welcome back to Tech Refresh. It's your weekly fun podcast about all things digital. And if you have not already gotten our free Windows or Mac guide, time is a-wasting, okay? Knowledge is power. Head over to commando.com/free guide, whether you got Windows or Mac. Once again, that's commando.com/free guide. And this is part of the podcast where we like to pass along some really great tips, things that you might want to use in your own tech life and digital life. And a while back, I signed up for TaskRabbit. Okay. No, things were not going in the crapper here at the Kim Komando Show. I was really just trying to see how this stuff works. So I put TaskRabbit on my phone and I set it up for alerts. And then I was getting alerts for pick up somebody's dry cleaning. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I got an alert to fix somebody's bicycle. No, I'm not handy like that at all. Plus, I might break a nail. Anyway, so I got a request to go over to Walgreens on 44th Street in Indian School, which was like 5 minutes from my house, and look at the Tide Pods on the shelf and take a picture of the Tide Pods. And I made like $15 for doing that. I thought, all right, well, that's not a bad gig. So we have Labor Day coming up, and let's talk about working from home. And so the absolute worst thing you can do is Google search make money at home, because then you're just going to get scammed. I guarantee it. So here are 5 legitimate ways to make money online, starting with transcribing conversations for anyone from doctors to movie directors. And there's a specific website for this, and it's called dailytranscription.com. 2 on our list is search engine evaluation. Now, one way that companies test their websites is by hiring people like you to see how their websites perform. And you can find those jobs listed at appin.com. And 3, you can make $30 an hour as a virtual assistant. There are sites like Zirtual.com, FlexJobs, Upwork. 4, you could be a mystery shopper, like I was at TaskRabbit, yes. Also, there's Field Agent that will do that. And finally on the list is you can answer company calls as a customer service rep, and there's WorkingSolutions.com. And I know you're just sat there and went, whoa, Kim Komando, I didn't get any of those web addresses. Okay, I understand. So all you have to do is just search our website, commando.com, and say, legitimate work at home opportunities. We've got tons of lists like that just pop up for you. But speaking of the Super Bowl, Tide has some serious advertising time that they purchased during the Super Bowl that's coming up this February. I don't know if you heard about this. I started thinking about it. They must be able to afford it after cornering the whole teenage snack food market. I mean, say what you will, but, my generation, we never ate laundry detergent, okay, and thought it was something that was really yummy. Okay, Matt, tell us about your new thing that you found on your iPhone that you've been using a ton of, because after all, you're no longer that swinging single Matt anymore.
No, that's very true. I've been using the voice memos function on my iPhone a lot while I'm planning my wedding. So if I'm sitting around and I think of something like, oh, that's a really good idea. If my fiance is not in the room for me to yell and go, hey, what about this? Then I pull out my iPhone, going to voice memos, which if you can't find on your phone, sometimes it's in your utilities folder. Open up voice memo, just press the red button. And as soon as it turns into a square button, boom, you're recording. Say whatever you want and you can end it. One of the coolest things I found is that you can rename these files. So if you find one of these voice memos or you have a voice memo and you click the 3 dots at the top, you can rename it. So I'd be renaming mine, table ideas, tablecloth ideas, stuff like that, and putting all this stuff into organizational folders. Another thing that I thought was really helpful is you can share these individual voice memos. So if you make a huge long voice memo, you can actually click the 3 dots again at the top, and then it will just have a share button, and it'll open up all your latest contacts, whether that it be through a text or messenger or whatever you're using to communicate with people. You can send it through those services. And then another thing that I've been using it for that I think is pretty cool is I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and it basically is where people sit around the table and tell a story all together. And I thought it'd be really fun to record every single session and then get it transcribed into a book that I could then give to the person who's running the game.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was really cute.
That's a great idea.
And to do that, I started researching transcription apps. And like you had just said, there's ones where you can actually pay for people to hand transcribe them. But a lot of the times you can have AI or stuff like that do this for much cheaper. So I found 3 that are safe to use and aren't just spam or malware that you can download from the App Store. So the first one is Otter.ai. And I know, Kim, you have used this before and enjoy using it.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I'll tell you, Otter.ai is phenomenal. It just works. Now, what's the problem with Otter.ai is that they start charging you after you get like a couple of free ones, and you're like, and then you try other ones and you're like, But what I really like about Otter is transcribing an entire conversation is that it'll say like person 1, person 2, person 3. And that's really, really super.
Yeah. And if you had said that the free one, it gives up on you after a certain amount of time. Well, it's about $9 a month. It's $8.33 a month for the premium version that is unlimited. So it's a little bit better. The other one is Evernote, which is about $10 a month. That one is basically the same kind of thing. It does it by person, and it is in the App Store for iPhones as well as the Google Play Store. The final one is Dragon Anywhere. This is the most expensive, close to $20 a month, between $15 and $20, depending on the plan that you want to choose, which is the amount of hours. But this is the one that is really highly rated. Dragon has been around since about 2005. They used to have a software that they sold over telecommercials. That was the kind of text-to-speech kind of thing. So it's very similar to that. But those are the 3 that I recommend. They're really handy, really useful. I'm about to start using them a lot.
And that's interesting because, Dragon, it was Dragon Naturally Speaking. And, for many years, people call in and say, hey, Kim, how do I transcribe? I want to write a book. It's always because they want to write a book. And because they're going to just have this bestseller, I'm just sure. And so I would always say, Dragon Naturally Speaking, get the professional pack, get the headset so that this way it starts training and it takes you like 3 to 5 times to train the voice. It will automatically detect your accent and things like that. Because I still say draw and say roar unless I actually, because I'm from New Jersey. But what's fascinating to me right now is that if you really wanted to dictate anything on your computer, you don't need to go buy that headset anymore, right? I mean, I use it on my Mac all the time. Double press the control key and the little thing pops up and I dictate emails and text messages and anything else under the sun. And of course, Windows has it built in as well. So that's really cool you're using it that way, Matt. And so I have one question about the wedding. Are you guys going to be doing like one of those crazy couples dances?
We're still at the beginning stages. That seems like that'll be something that we have to decide a little bit closer to the actual wedding itself. I'm thinking so, though.
I think you need to. I think that's a lot of fun. All right. So, Allie, you've been hanging out on OfferUp.
It's my new app obsession. The real thing is, so I've given up basically all social media for myself. And this is like when I just need to scroll through something for a minute to just like have a little brain break. This is what I go scroll through, right? So you can buy things, sell things. And the other day, I was scrolling and I clicked on somebody's profile and it was a woman and it was her first and last name and a picture of her. And I started to think, I bet I could find this lady online. This seems like she just used her real name. And so I Googled her, the city that she lived in. A couple seconds later, I was on her LinkedIn profile. And that just felt creepy.
Yeah.
And now I was doing it to kind of prove to myself this, or, look into this curiosity, but I don't know, what if I was a real creeper? Luckily, I'm not. So my tip today is really some advice for you that if you're using an app like this where you don't know who could see your profile, anybody could see your profile, right? Because they're public. Don't use your last name. You might even consider using a different name for your first name, maybe your middle name, or just stick with the first name. If you're comfortable having your photo, okay, you could make it something like your dog or a sunset or, something that's not identifiable. I just be really careful what you send out to. You should, they put warnings in there all the time. If you're messaging with someone, don't give out your real phone number. I know a ton of people do anyway. I would say don't. And if you are going to have somebody meet you at your house, wait until the very last minute to give your address. Wait until they're actually on the way. And if you can, it's better to just meet in kind of a parking lot, a space that is in public, lots of people around, and not just, hey, come over to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can actually meet in a lot of police departments.
Yeah, that's true as well.
I mean, and then as far as the phone number, get a Google Voice number, a burner number, whatever it may be. So I got to ask you this question. So then you tracked down this woman. Did you DM her and say, hey, this is a really bad
creepy.
idea?
I didn't. I considered it, but then I realized that I would be the creep. I could send her a message and say like, hey, just so you know, this is a little weird. Be careful.
Or here's what you could do. After we write about it, because I know that this is an upcoming tip on the site, like usernames, do's and don'ts. Just send her the link.
Yeah.
I wrote this for you.
Say, yes, I wrote this.
Less
I wrote
creepy.
this just for you. So, what's the best thing that you've purchased on OfferUp so far?
I got a wonderful dining table. It's like this. So it's I think it's a Crate and Barrel table that I loved forever. And I was about to buy it from Crate and Barrel, and I found it on OfferUp for less than half the price.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is it in great shape and all that other good stuff?
I know.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. I saw an OfferUp at a pet shop selling unwashed dogs. That's right. It said, buy one, get one free. Oh, I know. Okay. Hey, if you like quick tips like this, make sure that you get our Daily Tech Update podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for Commando with a K, of course. And our Daily Tech Update, you get 2 a day. You get one breaking news story, or my opinion about something that's breaking. Like I just wrote one that's going to be coming out soon about the metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg and how it is just a complete failure. And then there's also a digital life hack every day. So if you like these quick hits, make sure that you get our Daily Tech Update wherever you get your podcasts. All right, coming up, we have what the web is actually talking about, and it's corny. We have our What the Heck headline of the week, trivia, and a joke at the end, so stay right where you are.
How'd you like to hear about how I saved $456 in just 5 minutes? I used an app called Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Can you remember all the free trials and all the other random subscriptions that you've signed up for? Of course you don't, and that's what they're banking on. I love that with Rocket Money, I can see all of my subscriptions in one place. Then if I see something I don't want, I just tap to cancel, and I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you just don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Kim. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim.
Hey, welcome back to Tech Refresh. It's your weekly fun podcast about all things digital. And we have specific newsletters just for you. They have your name on it. So if you're using Windows, you can get the Windows. If you use an Apple, you use an Apple. See the trend? Android. Right. Yes, follow me. So make sure that you get our free Commando newsletters. And we're not going to lease your name to anybody, your email address. You're not going to get spammed. You only get the stuff that you sign up for from us directly. Wherever you are, just make sure right now you stop what you're doing, yes, and go to commando.com/subscribe. That's commando.com/subscribe. All right, so this is part of the podcast where we talk about headlines of the week, things that we've run across that are like, what the heck was that? And then you read it and you're, whoa, that was real? And so, Allie, you ran across a headline this week.
I did. Some impressive news out of Montenegro. Man wins lying down championship by lying down for 60 hours straight.
Wow.
Oh, 60 hours.
There's this village in Montenegro. It's called Bresna. That is home to the lying down championship. This was the 12th annual competition. 12 years they've been doing this thing. The goal.
Wonder how they practice for that.
The goal, as you might suspect, is to lay down on the ground as long as you can. They do it in a local park. And this year's winner did it for 2.5 days. So you're allowed to bring your phone and books and stuff to entertain you, which I feel like is a little cheap, but whatever. The one exception to laying down, every 8 hours, you're allowed to get up and go to the bathroom, which, one, that is not very often. And two, this is a new rule. So
rule?
what did they do before that?
Oh, gosh, you're kidding. This is a new rule?
Just a few years ago.
Oh, stinky parks.
The record before that was 52 hours without going to the bathroom, which I don't want to think too hard about.
52 hours not going to the restroom?
That seems dangerous.
Not visiting the restroom. It's not to say that you can go to the restroom.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, there is that disclaimer right there.
The winner took home 350 euros, lunch for two, a weekend stay at a hotel, and a rafting experience. And he lost 2.5 days that he will never get back.
Yes, I still like the walking shark. That was my favorite.
What if sharks
That was
walked up while these
crazy.
people were laying on the ground?
What are you going to do?
Yes.
Roll over it, I
know,
guess.
Exactly. Dum. Yes, dum. All right, that's great, Al. So, Matt, since you like to hang out on social media more than Allie and I do, we depend upon you to keep us up to date. And so what the heck is the web talking about?
The internet is a strange place, to say the least. And you never really know what the next viral video or viral song is going to be. And this one kind of took me aback when I first saw it. Well, it's a song about corn. So there's this little boy, his name's Tariq, and he just goes on this tangent about how much he loves corn in this interview. And the guys that are from the Gregory Brothers, they're the Recess guys. They did all those videos from Hide Your Kids, Hide Your Wife back in 2012, and the most recently, the Chrissy Wake Up song. Those same guys took this little interview with Tariq and turned it into this amazing song, and I'll play it for you guys right now.
For me, I really like corn.
What do you like about corn?
It's corn. A good corn good knobs. It has the juice. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. It's corn.
So within the matter of 7 days, since this was posted on TikTok, it got 58 million views and 8 million likes.
Way. Okay, wait a second. How many?
7 days, it got 58 million views and 8 million likes on TikTok alone.
Okay, all right. Okay, here's the deal. Okay. We don't get 10 million views. Okay. I mean, this kid with a corn song is 58 million
58
views.
million
To be clear,
views.
adorable kid, adorable song. I've been
Yes,
singing
very
It Has
cute.
the Juice for 3 days.
It's incredibly catchy.
And butter.
Yeah.
And butter.
Yeah.
No, everything's always better with butter. Yes.
Well, they created more versions of this. They put a 3-minute long version on YouTube that already has 10 million views. And the craziest thing, so we've all heard of Cameo, right? It's the site where you can hire celebrities to wish you happy birthday or whatever. Well, say I wanted to wish my sister a happy birthday. I could hire Ryan Stiles from Whose Line Is It Anyway for $150. Or I can hire Mark McGrath from the Sugar Ray Band in the 90s for $90. Or you can hire this corn kid, as he's going by on the internet, for $220 to wish you a happy birthday.
God.
Will he have corn in the video?
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah. He has
He
to have
must.
corn in the video. There has, and it's funny because I was singing the song last night. I was making corn for dinner, and I was singing the song, and Barry's looking at me like going, are you too many vodkas or what's going on over here? And I'm like, no, you have to see Tarek. It's so
lump with the
great. He looked at me
knobs.
like,
Well, he's not the only one, because
Yes.
even Chipotle got in the game and hired him through Cameo to do a Chipotle for the Chipotle corn. So he's already getting work.
You know what? That's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
That is, that's super smart. But, who is the leader of the Corn Army? This is a question for you. Who's the leader of the Corn Army? Anybody? The Colonel.
Oh.
Yes. Oh. Okay. All right. So if the Corn Kid can get all these likes and views, what the heck? Are you ghosting us? And why are you doing that? Okay. Follow us wherever you are on social media. You can go to twitter.com/KimCommando, Instagram.com/KimCommando, Facebook.com/KimCommando. Notice the trend. So wherever you are, just make sure that you follow us. And this way you get the latest updates and good things like that. And be sure to especially follow us on Instagram. And I am finally finishing the video of my great European adventure, although I should have gotten video of the time in Amsterdam. I really should have. I was standing there by the canal with a bike tour guide, and Ian, of course, my son, is with me as well. And we biked all around the city, 22 miles.
Wow.
And so we're standing by the canal with the bike tour guide, and he says, so do you guys want any cocaine, ketamine, any ecstasy, anything like that? And I looked at him and said, I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, we have an app here in Amsterdam, and they meet you. This is a pretty popular canal, so if you wanted something like that, you could just let us know. And then he goes on to say, coke is $50 a gram, ecstasy is $3 a pill, ketamine's $4, and we also have roofie. I'm like, and then Ian looks at him and goes, dude, we're all good. Thanks. We don't want anything. Yes. So I should have gotten that on a video because I think that would have been.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure they don't track any data on that app.
Sure. Yeah.
No, it's all private.
What? Seriously, I don't think they do in Amsterdam.
Really?
Really. I mean, because we were riding through the park, and the tour guide said to me, this bike tour guide said, if you notice, we don't have syringes in our parks like you do in America. He's very anti-American, by the way. And I said, I haven't been in a lot of parks in the United States where I've seen syringes, but I haven't really looked for them. And he said, well, the reason why we don't have syringes here in the Netherlands is because if you're hooked on meth or heroin, you can go to the police station every Monday and you get your week's worth of drugs. And then the next Monday you come back, you can get your next week's worth of drugs. But you have to bring the syringes and the needles back with you in order to get your next week. It's this was like the bizarre. I'm like, oh my God, this actually exists.
You learn so much about drugs on your trip.
And you're in Europe.
Yes, exactly. So I don't do any. That's the problem. Anyway, so moving right along, if you're not already following us on social media, make sure that you do that and stay right where you are, because coming up we have trivia, and I'm on board for that, and we have a joke at the end from Matt you don't want to miss.
Since our founding in 2000, we at the Center for Internet Security have always had one mission. It's to create confidence in the connected world for people, businesses, and governments. As a nonprofit, we do this by drawing upon our core competencies of collaboration and innovation. The world is changing, cyber threats are evolving, and IT resources are limited. All you want is a way to strengthen your cybersecurity programs efficiently and effectively. Let CIS help you with these efforts. We use a consensus-based process involving IT professionals from around the world to develop and maintain security best practices. These resources are proven to defend systems and data against threats, both on premises and in the cloud. We also strive to help organizations of every size and maturity strengthen their cybersecurity programs. This includes serving U.S. state, local, tribal, and territorial government organizations. At CIS, we're all about making the connected world a safer place. Visit our website to learn more.
Hey, welcome back to Tech Refresh. It's your weekly fun podcast about all things digital and maybe other things too. If you have not already checked out our ebooks on Amazon, be sure that you do. We have a lot of best-selling ebooks, whether you're looking to make money online, set up your own business, whatever it may be. You want to know more about drones and robotics and AI, it's all there. Just search for Commando on Amazon. That's Komando, of course. All right, so this is part of the trivia. Now, last week, you guys said that I probably had the unfair advantage because I never actually have to do the trivia. So therefore, that's why I was probably having a little bit of an advantage. And so in order to make the stakes fair, I've decided that I will do the trivia. We all decided I would do the trivia this week. And so, of course, to refresh everybody's memory, that we had to pick something that we all didn't like or would do. Now, I hate mushrooms.
It's painful for her to say. Did you hear the hesitancy?
I do. I hate mushrooms. And I hate even like when they put mushrooms in something, and even when you take it out of whatever they've cooked at a restaurant, you still taste the mushroom. I mean, it's just this thing. I don't know what it is that I hate mushrooms. I have to eat, one mushroom.
Oh, it's become one. I thought this was a whole bowl of mushroom risotto.
Okay.
It's going to turn out someone has to wave a mushroom in front of her face.
You have to smell one mushroom.
All right. Okay. So maybe I was taking advantage of being the host and trying to change things around. Okay. But, okay, a bowl full of risotto with mushrooms. And Matt, you have to eat a bowl of olives.
Yes. I'm going to go with dollar store olives, like the worst olives you can get. No fancy, no cheese stuffed, just like gross olives.
And Allie, you need to jump out of an airplane.
Nope. Yes, I hate heights. And so I am going to do indoor skydiving if I lose. That is high enough off the ground for me.
I can't wait until we go see that. I can't wait until we see that. Okay. And so who's keeping track?
I'm keeping track. Okay, points are bad. We don't want points. Points means you're losing. Matt, you've got 5 points.
Yeah.
I have 4 points.
Ooh.
And Kim, you have 3 points. It's all very close.
Actually, I'm doing really well because when you are actually doing the trivia, you can't get any points.
No,
because that's right. So I'm actually doing better than everybody else. I'm just saying. Okay,
we're very proud of you.
So I decided to go with a different type of trivia because, as many of you know, I sold the house that we lived in for 17 years, and we bought the house from a very famous family. Okay, and I didn't think it was a famous family, but I kind of knew that maybe this person was really into all things Disney because they had Mickey Mouse everywhere. And as it turns out, we bought the house from, I bought the house from Victoria Lund, who was Walt Disney's granddaughter. But she had died, and she was only 36. It was a really sad story. And I always thought that she died in the house. And they assured me, no, she didn't die in the house. She did not die in the house. And I was like, I just kind of had this feeling. So we move in, and we start seeing like weird things, like trees shaking, TVs would turn on in the middle of the night. You would suddenly smell smoke where there was no smoke. I would be standing there and I had like this like feeling of like somebody brushing by me. And it wasn't just me. It was like people who had come to stay would also feel these things. And I never shared with anybody what I was feeling because I thought like, oh, well, they're just going to say she's crazy, right? So I didn't tell anybody this. So all of a sudden, all this is happening. So I call up a friend of mine. Yes, we all have somebody who knows how to do this, of course. And I said, so what do I do? And he says, well, you have to tell her it's time to go. So I tell her to go. She doesn't go. She still stays. And I don't know if it's Victoria, but I just stay. It's like, so finally I was standing in the kitchen. I said, you know what? If you decide to stay, because you're not paying any rent. I actually said that out loud. I want you to help me watch the kids in the pool. Okay. And you can stay. Well, then that wasn't good enough. So anyway, so we ended up telling her, you open up all the doors and windows. And so it was kind of like this weird thing. But then I never saw her again. So have you ever wondered if someone died in your house that you're living in or you're about to buy? Now, in most states, your realtor, your broker isn't required to tell you whether somebody just died there, if it was a murder, a suicide, some other felony or violent death has happened in your home. So there's actually a website called deadinhouse.com. And for $12, it's going to tell you whether or not somebody died in your house, whether you're already living there or you're considering purchasing it. So how do you think the guy came up with the idea for this website? Okay. So you got 4 options. A, he saw a ghost in his house after he bought it. He did some research, and sure enough, someone died in the house. B, he found out that someone died in the house before he bought it, and that totally creeped him out. C, he had renters in a house, and there was a murder. The address made the news, so now when anybody Google searches that address, the news story pops up. Or D, he's a realtor, and clients ask him this question all the time. Did anybody die in the house? And that's how he came up with this $1 million idea. So, how do you think he came up with the idea?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
I I don't know if he saw a ghost. This one's a tough one. I think I'm gonna have to go out on a limb here. I think he was a realtor. I think he was a smart realtor who got this question all the time and was like, well, how else can I make money off of that?
There you go. How about you, Al?
I'm going to say that you started looking into this because of your ghosty situation. And so I'm going to say it was the same for him. I'm going to say, A, there was a ghost in his house, and he wanted to find out if anyone died there.
Actually, it was it could be any of these. You're right. It could be any of them, but it was B. He found out
Oh.
he bought a house and then he Googled it and then he found out that somebody died in the house. And he said, wow, this is pretty creepy. And surprisingly, that the realtors, it's not legal. Or I mean, it's not illegal for somebody not to say that.
Wow.
So when somebody dies, they will give the address where they died. So, on the death certificate. So most times. And so that's how he puts together this database.
Oh.
And so for $12, you can search one address. He's got a special going because I looked at the site today. And no, I did not pull up my address to see if somebody died in there because I'm like, you know what? I don't live there anymore. It don't matter. But he has a special now and it's like for 3 addresses, you can do it for I don't know, I think it's like $25. But isn't that something? I mean, really, just about anything that you can do. And in researching this, I found another website. I almost used this. Is a guy is now selling 150 proof alcohol. He calls it the ultra alcoholic beverage. And wait. He sells it in taxidermy squirrels. So he puts a bottle. Yes. He puts the bottle in a squirrel, and the squirrel's standing up like this.
There's
with
so
a
much about
bottle.
this I don't like.
No, thank you.
I know.
No, thank you.
It was, and I was like, I was reading. I'm like, I was laughing out loud. I'm like, no, this could go down a path we don't want to go. But anyway, so let's transition right now from
Bottles and squirrels.
Bottles and squirrels and dead people to you are going to make us laugh with a joke, right?
I like this one. It's not as long as the last few we've done, but it's got a good little kick at the end. Okay.
Okay.
4 men are in a hospital waiting room because their wives are having babies. A nurse goes up to the first guy and says, "Congratulations, you're the father of twins." He goes, "Well, that's crazy. I work for the Minnesota Twins." A nurse walks up to the second guy and says, "Congratulations, you're the father of triplets." He says, "Oh, that's weird. I actually work for the 3M Corporation." She goes, "Oh, that's crazy." The third nurse walks out and says, "Congratulations, you're having quadruplets." He says, "Oh man, I work for the Four Seasons. What are the odds?" And the last woman walks over to the last guy, and he's just shaking his head and banging his head against the wall. And she goes, "What's wrong, sir?" And he goes, "I actually work for 7-Up."
Oh, all right, that's great. Okay, that was a good
cute.
one. That was a good one. Much better than my Colonel joke with the corn. I totally understand. All right, we always like to end the podcast on a really other happy note, so that this way you have your to-do list. And Allie, you go first. What's the takeaway from you?
If you have an app like OfferUp or one of the others where you are selling stuff, reconsider your username. If it is your first and your last name, keep in mind you also have your city listed there. That is a lot of information about you. And you might be talking to people, giving out your phone number and your address. So be careful. Go in there, take out your last name. It doesn't need to be there. Nobody's going to say, "Not going to buy anything from you because I can't see your last name."
That's great advice. And how about you, Matt?
If you haven't used voice memos, they are incredibly handy. Like I said, I use them all the time. If you just don't want to have to type anything in or write anything down, just pull up voice memos, record yourself, and boom, you can use it anytime. Also, send the corn video to your friends because they will get a kick out of it.
It's really cute.
And I just counted, Christmas is less than, would you believe, 4 months away.
Oh, wow.
Right. So if you are sitting there saying, "Oh, how am I going to buy all the great holiday and Christmas gifts?" Now's a great time for you to get started. Start doing some of these side hustles and work at home gigs. And again, as always, don't just Google search. Head over to Komando.com because you know that we've vetted and you can trust everything that we put there over at Komando.com. Just search for Work at Home and send us your thoughts and comments to podcasts@Komando.com. Once again, everybody gets that address, so you better be nice. Podcasts@Komando.com. We love to hear from you. And don't forget to always subscribe and follow to the podcast. Leave some kind words on all the public review sites. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you again here next week.
Before Shopify, were you wondering, where are my sales at? Now you're selling with Shopify, the global commerce platform supercharging your selling. You have no problem selling online, in person, on social media, and beyond. Gary, easy on the cha-ching.
Oh, sorry, but my Shopify sales are through the roof.
Start selling with Shopify today and discover how millions of businesses around the world use Shopify to ignite their selling. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.